dance for joy or lust or anger.
Welcome to Sensible Secondhand Classics, a series where we look at nostalgic cars over 15 years old, which you can buy for a budget of between £1,000 and £5,000. This is a 1976 Simca 1000 Rallye 2. And is it any good? Should you care? Let's find out, shall we? So the Simca 1000 was originally conceived in the late 1950s, where the head of Simca, a chap called Henri, who was French for Italian descent, went over to Italy and saw what was going on with Fiat's attempt to replace the Fiat 600. Now they had two projects on the go, a smaller one and a larger one, and I've heard two different stories about this. The first story is that they just basically said to him when he arrived, okay, we've got 6 design proposals for the larger of these two cars to replace the 600. See which one you like, and you know, if you want to make a new Simca model out of it, then you're very welcome. You know, help yourself. The other story I've heard is that it didn't quite work like that at all. It was more that he went over and saw the prototypes for the 600, the large one that is, because the smaller one actually became the Fiat 850, and he also then decided to make his own car and see which one was going to be best, and eventually he went for his own one. I don't know which one of those stories is true, completely conflicting ones, but take your pick. But by 1961 the new car was ready, and it went on sale with a 944cc engine, I believe either producing about 35 horsepower, or some people say 45 horsepower. I'm not sure which one of those is correct actually. Later on the car got a huge sort of interesting extra load of engines and trim options, and at the end of the video we'll go over them, but there's just so many. There's so many options going on that you know, I can't actually remember all of them. Got anything from 31 horsepower all the way up to 103 horsepower out of this Simca Poissy engine, but it's an overhead valve engine, and was used until 1992 in the Peugeot 309. It's a very long-lived engine. It was designed specifically for this car. Fiat might have had a controlling interest in Simca until about 1963, but they didn't have anything to do with the engine development of this car, and obviously they were a major shareholder until Chrysler took over most of it. But yeah, rear engines, and with quite a difficult gearbox. They're quite well known, these, for being difficult to get into second. It is an all synchro mesh gearbox, but it's not the easiest one I've ever used in my life, I must admit. You could get a 3-speed semi-automatic as well by Ferrodo, but most of them came with this 4-speed manual. There are people in this country actually who will rebuild these gearboxes for you, and this one, I don't know what stage it's in, but yeah, it's probably been done a few times. It is a very loud car, and I'm going to be very careful. The brake pedal is in a very strange place in this car. So with the reluctant gearbox, the brake pedal in the wrong place, no servo brakes, it is an interesting car to drive. And obviously this car, the standard 82 horsepower 1.3 engine that this car had, it's now got a 1442cc engine developing 120 horsepower. So because I'm just driving very slowly and modestly today, because that's what I normally do with very old cars that I find difficult to drive, I have to drive them very slowly because I don't want anything to go wrong. We'll be fine. No power steering, of course, but it's very light. Let's see if we get to second without crunching. There we go, no crunching. Excellent. I have closed the window now, so it is a bit quieter, but still not quiet. It's fun though. It's good fun. So here we are, viewers, in a nice quiet part of Derbyshire. This car actually, most of the paint on it is original. It manufactured, we believe, in 1975, although the V5 says manufactured in 1976, and it was registered in 1979, which is why it's on a V plate. At the time when it was registered in this country, when you arrived in this country with a car that was imported, you just slapped the plate of whatever the year was on it, regardless of when it was manufactured. So it's why it's a 75 or 76 car, and it's got a 1979 plate on it. So Rallye 2 originally would have had a 1.3 engine with 82 PS. This actually is producing about 120 PS. If we can get this open. I'll have to use two hands to that, but maybe viewers. It's got a 1442 engine at the moment, producing 120 horsepower. So it's a bit loud, and it is quite nippy. Let me just fiddle around with that release, viewers, and see if we can actually get that open. So here we go, and unlike a lot of the Simca 1000s, the Rallye 2 and the Rallye 3 have a radiator in the front of the car. The radiator would normally be here if it was a sort of, you know, lower specification 1000. So by Heart Motorsport, this particular engine was in an Alpine. It's been converted to be in this configuration because obviously that's a front wheel drive car, and yeah, it looks good. It's all been done, so pretty noisy when you're driving along in this. It's not the quietest car I've ever driven, particularly because of the big exhaust that's on it. You can see there's a sort of air ducting in here, and very sort of kind of similar in some ways to the sort of old things like the Renault Dauphine and Renault 8, and no common parts with the Hillman Imp, even if at the time Chrysler owned both the Roots Group and also Simca. Got these interesting sort of old alloy wheels on it. To say the colour is somewhere between yellow and green. We're not quite sure what it is. On the logbook it says yellow, but actually I'd say it's green. Got lots of headlamps on here. Unfortunately, the Rallye 2s were never available in this country. We got the Rallye 1, which was about 60 horsepower. There's also a Rallye before the Rallye 1, which is like an appearance package for 50 horsepower cars. And then the Rallye 2, and then right at the end of production in 1978, Rallye 3s came out with about 103 horsepower. Very sort of similar styling to a lot of the older Fiats, this car, I think. And there is a connection between the two companies. So open this door. The car actually is in very sort of original condition. There is some work that needs doing to sort of tidy bits of it up. And you can see we haven't got a glove box. We've got no secret mission document storage available in this at all. And there's some wiring hanging down there. This car, when it was imported in 1979, the gentleman who actually imported it, he had the right-hand drive conversion done because, of course, you never got the Rallye 2 over here. So this was done from a French imported car. And unfortunately, he never lived to use it in competition. That's his intention. By 1981, he passed away. So the car sat in storage until about 2003, when Mick bought it from some friends of the original owner. But they're really, really rare, these cars. Simca 1000s are just not around, Rallye 2 or not. There is some sort of room in the back. Make sure this door actually opens. Oh, I have to throw the other one. Just go in this door actually for now. I'll have to go in the rear door. Bucket seats, actually, these vinyl bucket seats were the standard seats for the car. Be careful with this door. Yeah, that's why I was careful. Got a nice Rallye dash in here. This kill switch was actually fitted for the original owner to take it rallying, but he never did. So we're not going to roll cage or anything in here. And by the end of sort of production of these in 1978, most of them were either being built as really cheap cars, because it was one of the cheapest cars on sale in France at the time, or there were people who wanted to take them rallying. The heating controls are right over here. You can see it's really simple. There's just hot and cold, and that's about it. There's not really much else to say. But it's right over this side. There's no radio in here. You have the sound of the engine as your entertainment. That's the reheated window. That is for the lights on, and this actually controls here what stage the lights are at. So you've got the side lamps, and then the dip beam, and then down there we've got the main beam. You can see it would come on there. This is the indicator switch here. Hazard lights are just here, do work. And then that is for the wipers. There's actually 2 switches for 2 speeds of wipers. The second speed wiper's not fitted, so we've only got single speed wipers in this particular car. Seats are reasonably comfortable. The gear change is a bit interesting, probably because it's in the back. I have been struggling with that a bit. You know, what a surprise. But yeah, it's just a really interesting sort of car. You just don't see any of these at all. This sort of amazing kind of lime green stroke yellow colour is just sort of fantastic. Very basic. There's nothing much to say. We've got the Rallye dash in here with the rev counter still in kilometres per hour, so I've got to be a bit careful with that. And just the temperature gauge and the fuel gauge, and then there's an oil pressure gauge as well, because it's Rallye 2. Personally, I prefer, I think, some of the other ones, the UK ones, it came with like a wood effect dash with a glove box in it. You don't get that in here. What you get is some really scary pedals that actually were not taken out of a right-hand drive one. You could get a Simca 1000 in this country from 62 to 77, so plenty around in 79 to be converted to right-hand drive, taking the pedals out of, but actually these are the original left-hand drive pedals, so the brake is in a very, very weird position. I've had to be very, very careful with this car to make sure I don't press something else. That would be the reversing light switch, but it's not currently connected. I'm not sure you need it on a 1976 car anyway. Yeah, I'm in a very simple little switch here. Let's have a look in the back anyway, just because we can. Wow, it's a stiff door. Okay, we're in. So we've got some more kind of spares in here and things like that. Just a very simple interior. The Rallye 2 spec models, actually, this is the standard interior for them. They just came with this vinyl bench seat. They were quite basic inside. There's no carpets or anything in here. There's literally just rubber mats and everything, which is crazy. One of the things you do need to be aware of, and this is on this car, which is going to need some attention at some point, is the fact that when they built them with different skins of really thin metal. And as I said to Mick, who owns this car, it's a bit like the Forth Bridge with these, isn't it? You probably are constantly finding bits of rust and treating them. It's probably why they're just none left at all. Considering they made almost 2 million of these cars, there are just so few left, even in like places like France or Germany or whatever. Right, let's see if we can get underneath the bonnet and have a look at the storage that's actually in there. So this is the front boot. You can see the spare wheels in here. And there's also other things in here. We've got you know, brake reservoirs, and there's no servo brakes on this. There's no servo brakes on any Simca 1000 of any type. One person apparently tried to fit a brake servo to one and just ended up locking the wheels up. So you just got to be careful. It's a very light car anyway. You can see the spare wheel is in there. Not the original wheels, of course, for one of these. They've been fitted. Some aftermarket ones. Jack and everything's in there as well. Presumably you didn't get a carpet in this front boot or anything, just the way that it came. So I suppose the storage is best really inside the car if that's what you want to do. But yeah, I mean, what an absolutely delightful car. It's not the easiest thing to drive, and you know, this one isn't in concourse condition or anything. It's still perfectly usable. But I am so privileged to be able to have a go in these. There's just no reviews of Simca 1000s on YouTube in this country at all. I think I'm the first, which is weird. But there we go, that's just what it's like. Anyway, I suppose you better get out for another drive, viewers. You don't end up having to struggle with this gearbox constantly, viewers. It's all right, but I am struggling because, yeah, that's the sort of person that I am. Crazy. Yeah, I mean it's quite fast if you can get the gears in properly and just don't rush them with things. obviously people bought these towards the end. I mean, the production lines were vacated. They were told for Horizon eventually, or Horizon was for the first year, and people still loved them. You know, the Rallye 3 was specially designed for people who wanted to take them in competition. Rallye 2 was obviously a little bit earlier than that. But yeah, you know, I quite like this. I'd have to take a long time to get used to, particularly the gearbox in this. It is an all synchromesh unit, but it doesn't like being rushed. It doesn't like being rushed at all. So you've got to be quite careful. You've got to make sure when you're putting your foot down to go on the brakes, you hit the right pedal. So it is just a little bit on the terrifying side. But nevertheless, I think it's worth having a go at something like this. It's really feels quite glued to the road. It's amazing, really, for such an old car. It feels like I could go around a corner at very high speed and it'll be absolutely fine. So viewers, let's look at some specifications for the Simca 1000 or Simca 1000, or lots of other different names were used for this car. When it came out in 1961, the engine available either had 34 or 45 horsepower. I've had conflicting information about that. Then what sort of happened is the car was renamed the Simca 900 with this basic engine, and there was a more powerful version introduced with either 39 horsepower or 50 horsepower, depending on what your source is, but the 900 version remained in production until 1965. In 1964, a 52 horsepower version was introduced, and then in 1966, a 54 horsepower version was introduced. Then the engine got changed again. The original 944cc was 42 horsepower in 1969, then 44 horsepower from 1970 to 76, then 40 horsepower from 77 to 78. In 1969, a version called the Simca was introduced, as in like Sim apostrophe and then the number 4, Simca, because Simca 4CV, which is what actually the full title of the car was a bit much. So that originally had an 800cc engine with 31 horsepower, and then in 1970 that was up to 33 horsepower. Considering this car has got 120 horsepower, it's 4 times more than the Simca. The 1118cc engine with 53 horsepower was introduced, I think about 68, and in 1969 it actually went down to 50, which is really confusing. Yeah, so so it was 53 and 70 to 76, then 55 from 77 to 78. Then we got the 1.3 engines. Originally the 60 horsepower engine, which was in the Rallye 1, and I think also the car called the Special, I think it was. And then the Rallye 2 was 82 horsepower, increased to 86 in 1977. But the Rallye 3 was the big fire-breathing homologation Special right at the end of production, with 103 horsepower. Goodness me, this is really confusing. The specifications were GL, GLS, L, LS, GLA, GLE, and the Special and Rallye. The Rallye 1, they're 2 separate models. The Rallye was just like an appearance package, I think, on the Special. The Rallye 1, which had 60 horsepower. Then there was a Rallye 2, this one, and then the Rallye 3. I hope that makes sense. You even got a 3-speed semi-automatic by Ferodo on these, if you wanted it. That's it, viewers. You can buy these actually for under £5,000 if you can actually find one. They did sell them over here from 62 to 77, but most of the ones you find over here have been imported. Should you buy one of these for under £5,000 if you can find one? Well, you're going to find it difficult to get some parts unless you're in the Simca Club, which Mick, who owns this car and many other Simcas, he's one of the main people in that, and I'm sure he'd be able to advise you as to what to do. I found this kind of fun, slightly terrifying at the same time, but yeah, I'm just privileged to have been able to drive such a rare car. Thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment below, and we shall see you again soon for some more reasonably priced nostalgic motoring.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Every blue day, every day with blue skies.